Hi guys, and welcome back. This is Crystal with Emerson Aurora Design, and today I'm going to show you how I made my version of Black Flame Candle Tumbler. I'm going to do this tumbler on a 20-ounce straight tumbler from the Stainless Depot. I already sanded it, washed it real good, and I'm going to start off, I'm not going to pre-paint my tumbler yet. I'm going to start off using my hot glue gun drips. I find that the hot glue gun drips really do a good job of making the drips look like candle wax, but be really careful. Hot glue is very hot. So I'm just going to slowly run my hot glue gun across the top of the tumbler there, the rim, and let it drip down naturally. I'm going to do several layers of these drips so that it looks like the candle has been lit multiple times and it has a natural drip texture going down the side. I'm also going to allow the drips to be longer in the back of the tumbler and a little bit shorter in the front because I am going to add my decal later and I want room for my decal. Like I said, be really careful when you're doing the drips with a hot glue gun. The glue is very hot, and I did drip some on my hand, and I burnt my hand pretty good, like I always do when I use a hot glue gun. So just be really careful. Also, the hot glue gun will make your tumbler warm because it's a metal tumbler. So just use caution when you're using this. To get my drips to go down further in this section here where you see that they're down further, I did apply some heat using my heat gun once the hot glue kind of set up, and you'll see me do that technique here in just a few minutes. Each time that I add a new drip, I do let that hot glue kind of set up just a little bit because I want it to look like layers, if that makes sense. In all, I do about 3 layers just to get the right look for this tumbler. And here I am using my heat gun to get those drips to be more even and to spread further down the tumbler. Be really careful when you're using your heat gun on the metal tumbler. It will make your tumbler hot. So you can see me adding specific drips to specific areas. I wanted the top layer of drips to go down between the original bottom layer. And then I will go over it later to kind of smooth it out and fill it in. Just use your best judgment. With these type of tumblers, it's kind of nice to have the layered look. It's not like a normal drip tumbler where you may only have the one layer of drips. A normal candle does look like it has multiple layers of drips. So here I am just kind of filling in and coaxing those drips to come down a little bit. Hot glue tends to set up really quickly. So if you're having problems, you can use your heat gun. The top layer drips, I want them to be, not come down as far on the tumbler as the base layer of drips. And you always have those little stringy things, which are so annoying. So you can see I'm kind of essentially painting in the hot glue where I want it to sit and coaxing those drips to be a little bit more specifically placed. If you have any notches that kind of stick up and you don't like them, just go over them again with a little hot glue. There's no right or wrong with this. It's totally organic. Just go with what looks good. On the top final layer of drips, I do smooth that out a bit with my heat gun and by adding extra layer of hot glue. So I do let that set up and then took it outside and just sprayed it with some matte white spray paint. And here's what we have. It already looks like a melted candle, which I was really happy with. So now I'm going to put it on my turner. I want this candle to look a little aged. So I'm going to add a few things to my epoxy to create that aged look, like a yellowing candle. This is some tan acrylic craft paint. And I'm also going to add a little bit of the metallic gold. Now I'm going to add just a very little bit of each of these paints to my epoxy. I have about 20 milliliters of epoxy there. This is the KS resin, art resin, UV protectant. That's the resin I like to use. And I'm just mixing a tiny little dollop, a very tiny little drop of the gold, and also a tiny little drop of the tan directly into my epoxy. Mix that in really well, get it evenly dispersed in the epoxy, and I'm going to apply this directly to my tumbler. Now don't worry, this won't completely color the tumbler, but you'll see that it is going to add a layer of antiquing, I guess you would say, to the candle tumbler. You can also accomplish this with adding a little bit of mica to your epoxy, but I didn't really want too much shimmer on this cup. Just work slowly putting that on. You don't want to have a huge amount at once because you want to get into all the nooks and crannies of the drip. And it may look like a hot mess right now, but you'll see when I'm finished that it really does look very striking, and it adds a layer of dimension to this tumbler that just helps it stand out more. You just want to gently rub that in between each little drip and then down your tumbler, and don't forget the bottom also. Now this is sped up. Of course, I'm not putting this on as fast as it looks, but it's just sped up for time purposes. So I'm just going back and forth. I go from the top to the bottom and then from the bottom to the top so that I can get an even coating of the epoxy all over the tumbler. It's okay if it looks like there's streaks. That'll just add to the dimension in the aged look, but the epoxy will just kind of level and smooth itself out. And I'm going to let this tumbler turn for 24 hours and I'll come back to it tomorrow. So while that was curing, I went ahead and printed my Black Flame Candle Company labels. Purchased these on Etsy. There are so many files on Etsy available. You can find one that you like. Just search for Black Flame Candle labels. They had the tan background ones and the black ones. Of course, I'm going to choose the black one. I think it looks better with my tumbler. And I did spray this about 3 times with my 2x Rust-Oleum clear spray paint. Now, one thing about my black water slides, I don't know if it's the Waterslide paper that I have or the ink in my printer. I use an inkjet, an Epson inkjet printer. Whenever I have a lot of black on an image, my image does look, it will look cracked, and you'll see. But I was completely fine with it. I actually wanted it to be cracked. I didn't do it on purpose. I just know that my printer prints solid black with some crackle look. But that's going to add to the overall aged appearance of my tumbler, because the Black Flame candle is pretty old. When you're doing water slides, you want to use lukewarm water. It just helps that water slide peel off the back better. Sorry, I'm jumping over my words. And then I add a little layer, a little splash of water on the area where I'm going to lay my water slide down. And it's hard to tell here, but the image does look like a crackle finish. And I actually really like that. I'm going to take my little silicone tool here and just rub it across the image and get all the bubbles out. If you have any issues with it rolling in on itself or just trying to get the bubbles out, just add a little water to your finger and smooth it onto the image. And you can see here that some of the ink is coming off of my water slide, but that's perfectly fine. I find that no matter how much I spray my water slides, a little bit of the ink does come off. Just take a paper towel and dab it off gently and it won't stain your tumbler. What is your guys' favorite water slide paper for inkjet printers? Right now this is Printer's Jack from Amazon that I purchased, and I do like it. However, my black always cracks, and you can see there it's a little crackled, but I actually really like it. So I'm going to let this dry completely, and then I'm going to go ahead and throw it on my turner. I'm going to put 2 layers of epoxy over this. I believe that's how many layers that I actually did in the long run. And here's my tumbler. I love the aged look that the acrylic paints gave it. And I really like the crackled label. I hope you guys give this a try. I know this is one that has been all over the internet lately. Hocus Pocus is one of our favorite Halloween movies to watch. And this 20-ounce tumbler just is the perfect size. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you learned something new today. If you're new to my channel, Hit that subscribe button. I would love it. You can drop me a comment, hit that like button to see more of my videos in the future. Happy crafting, everyone, and happy Halloween.